Yeah.
Yeah.
I was told about that too. It's like in a homeopathic form, the little pellets you put under your tongue. So it dissolves under your tongue, but it tastes sugary. It doesn't taste like that.
Yeah, the homeopathic tablets are always little lactose tablets that they infuse with something. And although they will help, they won't give you the quantity. So use those and see if indeed.
But you didn't need more?
And then see if indeed, if you use those, if you get the desired effects. That's what you're looking for. Okay? With homeopathy, you should get the desired effect with less. So you guys are better than anybody else to go see if a couple of these little tablets will work as well as taking a teaspoon of salt. Okay? Look for the results. Don't listen to what people say. Just simply look for what does it do for me. Do you feel better with the cell salts?
We haven't found it yet.
Yeah,
I just
can't
bought
find it
some
right now
today.
either.
I just bought some today.
Okay.
At Sprouts.
Oh, they have
Sprouts and
Sprouts?
Flour Mound. But they don't have number 9, they have number 6, which I think is more concentrated. But I just bought some today. I went to Vitamin Shop.
Yeah, those are homeopathic dilution, but you really have to play with it.
Nowhere in town.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that I was also having a lot of trouble with regular table salt, and just you can buy a can of sea salt in the store, and I find that I tolerate it a lot easier, and it's not very expensive at all.
That was what I was going to verify, that sea salt is on your food, which is what we do. And I just got, I was told that I wasn't getting, not by Dr. Suleman, but just a friend of mine who's a nurse person. She said that she believed that I probably need more iron, not iron.
Iodine.
Iodine, sorry, my brain. And so I went and got iodized sea salt. Is that better than the regular sea salt, or
To an
not?
extent, although the iodine experts tell me that if you buy iodized salt, by the time you start shaking it out in house, you open a container, most of the iodine will evaporate. So you probably need an iodine supplement, or you need to add some kelp, okay, or seaweed. And then you get a whole range of other minerals as well too.
Okay.
But those are a little bit of acquired taste.
Okay. I have a tricky question for you. Not knowing or understanding yet what the BPA, is that right, is, I had a question in my head when I found out about it today, though. And maybe you already have some answers. Maybe, do you know much about that? Okay. Is whatever that is that's going on, is there be any correlation for what we're going through? Like, I mean, you know how they find out this particular thing will cause this and everything. I mean, because the lady at the store was telling me that it's causing different things, and but you never know if they know what they're talking about. And I started thinking, I wonder, could that have any correlation? Since I've given my whole family, we live off of plastics and stuff. I mean, we don't leave them out in the car and then drink them. You know, I don't know if that's the only time it gets bad is if they get hot, because we don't heat things up in the microwave that are plastic. We only do the glass bowls and things like that, but so our plastic doesn't get hot, but does that matter if it's hot or cold? Or
It's less when it doesn't get hot. And it still will have to work its way up, because even you minimize your use of plastic, but it's still around, and it's still going to take some time for industry to come up with something else.
right, so
And as to relation to diseases, those are really hard to prove.
right.
Very, very hard to prove.
I mean, would it be wise to go to the house and toss everything plastic and bring only like glass? I was actually about to go having kids, toss all the glass stuff and get all, you know, the microwave safe plastic or whatever, and do that.
Just make a change as you go along.
Okay.
Okay, just change one thing at a time and then make another change. But yes, I would go more to glass, and for kids, go to stainless steel, that it doesn't break.
What about the bottles that say BPA free?
Then that will be, but there usually are other kind of plastic. There's the very hard plastic that are used. That one also gives off something. So you have the same thing. Anything else?
Is salt hard on your kidneys? You already have kidney trouble.
So it may. You just have to evaluate by laboratory test to see what's going on.
One last. I've had trouble with the salt too, and it didn't help me a lot. But what I found has helped me is the iron. So how could that be playing a part in helping me? Does iron build blood volume well?
Iron builds nice, healthy red blood cells, so you carry more oxygen. See, and so when you have more iron, you have your red blood cells, you have more hemoglobin, then you carry a little more oxygen. See, your body, we talked about food, but what your body actually does, it takes the food, it breaks it down, combines it with oxygen, and gives you energy. Okay? So you're talking about the other end of the fireplace. If you don't open the flue, it doesn't matter how much wood you put in the fireplace. You know, if you get so you had smoke in the house, and then you just added the iron, and you got some oxygen going. Which is one of the things that happens with a low blood volume is that you get poor circulation. Okay? Parts of your body don't get blood supply, so they don't get oxygen, and they don't get nutrients. And so then, and if you don't deliver oxygen, so they just don't work as well. And this is often the case in where I work, is that people that have mold exposure or a chemical exposure will get what we call vasculitis, where they don't have good circulation. They take in a good quantity of oxygen, and then when they exhale, a whole bunch of the oxygen hasn't been given off. It's still, they're breathing it back out. Okay? Meaning that the little capillaries, they have little spasms, and they just simply don't take up, they don't give off all the oxygen. So one of the things we look at times too, so we do that. That's where everybody is individual. Okay? What happened around the time of how did you end up where you are right now? You know, you didn't just end up pots right now. I mean, there's a sequence of events.
Do you recommend the zone diet?
For some people, it works really well. Okay, but no, and any diet will work.
What was that, Joe?
The zone, just.
Oh, the zone.
I just like the bar because it's the only bar out there that has a good quantity. There's several other ones as well too, but most people will buy a bar and it's all carbohydrates. And those are great if you do nothing but running, but the last thing I heard, the POTS people don't run a lot. So, just
Caffeine helps me. It really does. Dr. Stillman knows that and he agrees with it because it's a way that they're actually doing some treatments for POTS patients. When I stopped drinking caffeine and being really good and drinking only water and trying to be healthy, I started crashing. But I also can't stand black coffee. So what would you suggest, just in taking caffeine pills, I've always been told could be dangerous for me. I don't know if there maybe is a level that's safe because it's weird. You get one theory and then, you know, so I haven't, the thing that's kind of worked is sodas, but yeah, at the same time, like you said, a lot of calories, not healthy, you know, something I don't even let my daughter drink. I'll have like 2 a day and kind of, I try to sip them out too because I like to have it more consistently usually, you know, but they're like, oh, this is so old, but if I go hours without any caffeine, I really feel it. So how can I, it's not like I caffeine headache, it's like my heart rate and everything goes up. So can you give me suggestions on how to battle that? I mean, how, like, what to...
Well, what you're doing is pretty good.
Okay.
You're taking little sips, you're never taking the full dose. So really, every time what you're doing is you are raising a little bit your glucose level. Okay? So it's like the food supply, it's in a different way. And you are stimulating your cortisol, so you're allowing your capability. Basically, you're putting yourself in a mild form of fight and flight. Okay? A little higher alertness. Okay? And you're just using just a little bit to keep yourself going all along. And so then just doctor it up whatever way you want to, but don't ignore your food.
Okay, so...
Yeah, everybody, but when you try to get better, you can't just all of a sudden just throw everything out and try something new. You just veer, okay? You just try this and make a little change and a little more change. And that doesn't work, you go back. And everybody's individual, okay? And then everybody has special circumstances. If you have to take care of a family and little ones, you need more support, okay? So you just vary things.
I have kind of a silly question. I heard one time that if you buy canned vegetables that they have a ton of sodium in them, and so if you rinse them it kind of helps to lower your sodium intake. Would a POTS patient not want to rinse their canned vegetables to keep the sodium high, or is the sodium all in the juice, and if they drain the juice, is the sodium gone?
The juice. The juice has most of it in. So if you rinse it a couple of times, you rinse it off. But also what happens is salt goes in, so it's also in the vegetables. Okay? So the more times you rinse it, the more you get. So the juice would have an equivalent amount of salt, volume per volume, as the green beans, for example. They establish an equilibrium.
Okay.
I think you mentioned, talking in the beginning about gluten, and POTS people sometimes have problems with gluten. Can you talk about that?
But it doesn't have to be that. I think that people who have a gluten sensitivity can